Hello and welcome to task 3 for the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland for the students of the Production Technology and Management Year 1. As with the other tasks, please do not attempt this task until you've been through the prescribed topics in showvector.com, and also you must have emailed the previous 2 tasks to me and had those confirmed as being okay before progressing to this task. So in this task we're going to be moving on from the understanding about layers and sheet layers and viewports, and we're going to build a 3D set of treads, very simple, and then view those treads in multiple viewports on a sheet layer. So the drawing part, I'll just go through that. Our treads are going to be 1200 wide. And again, we're just making them really simple. I know treads aren't always like this, but just for the purposes of drawing, we're going to do the 200 by 200 risers. So there's my tread. So I'm going to put it in the middle. So remember, within your object info, I can define the middle of that shape and tell it that I want it to set at 0, 0. So that now means that the middle of that tread, which I will make the middle tread, will now set at 0, 0 in my drawing. So that's my 1200 by 200 tread. I'm not going to draw it again. I'm going to duplicate it by doing Command D, or you can do Edit, duplicate there, but Command D on a Mac or Control D on a PC. I'm going to pop that tread there, and then I'm going to duplicate that again, and I'm just going to leave it there. So it means that the middle of my object is actually in the bottom tread, not the center tread, but it doesn't really matter for this. So I've got 3 rectangles here. Now we're looking down on this object. We're in top plan view, or top plan down on this little icon down here. So I'm going to raise that tread up by 200, this one by 400, and this one by 600 to have us looking down on a 3 tread, rising up by 200 each time. So I click on that object and do Command E or Model Extrude, which is Command E, and I'm going to extrude by 200 for the bottom tread. I'm going to extrude by, so Command E, 400 for the middle tread, and Command E, 600 for the top tread. So that's our 3D treads made. We can grab this little icon here and have a spin round. It's a little clunky because I'm recording at the same time, but you can see I can look at the right, I can look at the front, I can look at the left, I can look isometrically at it. So it's good to get into the habit of using this. I've used so many incarnations of Vectorworks now, I quite like using the number keypad in order to spin round. I don't have one on my laptop just now, so this is quite a good way of doing it. And also make sure that the left and the right are the right way around, if you know what I mean. So it makes sense. If you have seen students before in drawing this and not realizing they're in a side view or something like that, which makes all the views completely wrong. If it's all working the way that mine is just now, then that's great. Be aware that I'm in the top 3D view just now, and if I click the little button there, I go back into 2D. 2D is really where we want to be viewing at the moment. So there's my treads. I'm done. As you can see, if we go to a 3D view, they're in kind of 3 sections at the moment. So I'm just going to select them all. I can either draw a box around them using the select tool and the box. I can do Command A to select everything. And then I'm going to do Model and Add Solids, which just joins all that together to make it one tread, so I don't have lines going down here. So that's the easiest way of doing it. That's my treads done. I'm not going to do anything more with that. The next bit is all about creating the viewports and dimensioning and all the stuff that we've covered so far. So I'm going to go to my sheet layers, and I'm going to Control and New, or again, remember I could go to tools and organization and do all this. I'm going to do a new sheet layer. The sheet number's 1. It's going to be called 3D threads. Edit the properties after creation as we did last time. I can leave that at 72. I'm not going to be doing any sort of rendering. Page setup. Remember, I needed to choose A3 here because my printer doesn't have A3 option. And I should click back out, and if I zoom out a little bit, if you can't see, sometimes it's just the fact you're zoomed in a little bit further, and there's my blank sheet. Okay, so my A3 sheet is set up, and my model back in the layers is set up as well. So what I want to do now is I want to take viewports and place them onto the sheet, but multiple viewports onto the sheet layer. So I'm going to go back to my top plan view again, 2D, because all these technical drawings are 2D, remember. Don't want to see any non-wireframe technical drawings. So I'm going to go to View, create Viewport. I haven't drawn a box around it this time. It's the only thing on the screen, so there's no reason for it to go and try and choose anything else. If you wanted to just draw a box around it, it will still give you the same thing. It will ask you if you want to use it as a viewport crop, and you say yes, so that's all fine. But we don't need to do that just now. So we're gonna get rid of that drawing label again. Just call it viewport 1. That's fine. Display settings. So it's the top plan view. It's in wireframe, so make sure that's in wireframe for all your technical drawings, as I've just said. Its scale is 1:50, which will probably be okay, but again, remember, we can change that later on. So if I say yes to that, then it will put our threads onto our sheet there. Now 1:20 looks a bit small actually now I think about it, but no problem at all. We'll just go across here to the view, with the viewport selected, go across here to the viewport section of the object information palette and change it to 1:25. That's going to be a bit better. So it's now 1:25. When we create the other ones, we'll do the same thing. Now I'm going to do two things here. One, I'm going to go the long way. Again, I have to keep zooming on this. There's a little button here where you can zoom to object or zoom to page there if you want to find your objects again. This time I'm going to change the view to, let's say, the right view here, and I'm going to, again, I don't need to zoom in. It doesn't really matter what I'm looking at here. I'm just selecting the whole object. View, create viewport. This time it's the right side because it's taken the view that I was looking at. I don't want it shaded, I want it wireframe, so that's the thing to watch out for there. I don't want it 1:50, I want it 1:25, remember, and the unchecked viewport and the drawing label things there. So a couple of things to look for: make sure it's the right, make sure it's wireframe, and make sure it's the scale that you want it to do, you want it to be. And OK, and that will place the right viewport on our sheet layer. And see there, and so the right viewport goes to the right of the front. Actually, that was the top, wasn't it? What am I talking about? Top will be sitting up there. We'll do that in a second. So the right viewport will sit there. It will become very obvious in a minute. I don't really need to go back and forward to the design layer when I'm doing this. I can duplicate my viewport. So because I'm duplicating that viewport there, okay, so Command D again, I'm going to line it up and change the view from top plan here to front. Now it's not going to look that different because the front and the top look the same, which is what caught me out before. But this time when I click on this, it is saying it is the front. When I click on that one, it's the top plan. When I click on that one, it's the right. This one will be slightly more obvious. If I click on the right, duplicate, this time I move the object to the other side, making sure they're lined up in third angle projection, and I want to do that to left, and now I've got my viewport. So the single object remains. Back in the design layer, there is only one thread, as you know, kind of 3-step thread, but we're now looking at it. These are live views of the object. We're looking at the right side of it in that viewport, we're looking at the front of it in that viewport, the left of it in that viewport, and the top of it in that viewport. We can even do a duplicate again. Command D. I think I must have lost it somewhere. There it is. Command D. We can either do a right isometric. There we go. Down there. We can give it a slightly different scale if we want. We could make that a 1:20, so it's a little bit bigger. Rather than wireframe, we could give it a shaded render. And if I choose a shaded render, then it's got this zigzag box around it, which means it won't do its final view. It allows me to move things around without doing full renders. You can imagine if this was a complicated thing with ray tracing, I want to be able to have a basic version of it to move around before I finally kind of go up here and see there's a little red update. If I update, then that's taken the final, that's me placed it and rendered it. Doesn't mean I can move that round again. As a little demonstration, if I go back into design layer again, into this thread, I'll just spin around a little bit using that tool that I'm still not quite got used to yet. And again, this is maybe a little bit, I need to move my screencasting tools. They're all underneath all of this stuff. There's my 3D modeling there, kind of chamfered edge, or fillet edge, chamfered edge. Fillet edge, we'll call it fillet edge. We'll do a radius of 50. So we'll just do a little rounded nose on the front of that thread, the middle thread there. It's got a rounded nose on it. So I went to the 3D tools down there, that kind of helix thing. I went to the fillet edge here. I typed in the radius of the fillet. I selected an edge like that, and then I click the little tick to apply that to the edge. Apply it to all of them. Make that a deadly set of threads. Okay. The reason I'm doing that is if I go back into my sheet layer again, you'll see that all the views have changed. And even the three-dimensional one here, but it will need updated again as it re-renders with the rounded noses on it. So it was just an example that these are live. It's not like you take a photograph of the object and then place it. It's like a live camera. So any changes you make back in the design layer will be pulled through to the sheet layer in all the viewports. For dimensioning, same as the last time, go to our dimension tools, and very, very, very important. Well, don't need to go to the dimension tools because we've got simple dimension tools here. For dimensioning these objects, we double click, go into the annotation. So this is the annotations of the top plan only. I am only dimensioning things in this live viewport here. I am not going to dimension this, the right, the front, or the left. I'm going to exit that, and then I'm going to go to my double click there and annotations and dimension. Maybe use the chain dimension here that we used before and go, because I want to tell that it's 200. Oh, it's tricky here because it's a rounded 200, 200, 200. Double click to finish. So you kind of get the idea that the dimensions must exist within the viewport. When you send me your drawings, what I will do is I will grab the viewport and move it and check that the dimensions are in the viewport. I will demonstrate what not to do. It's tricky to see, but if I'm not paying attention and I dimension this part of the right hand viewport, which I dimension by going into the left hand one here, you can see when it's live in there. When I grab this left viewport, those dimensions will come with it. That's the reason not to do that.